Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's great. They're gonna burn. They've ever put it in. Do we have to put everybody paper? We're doing that. We did that. Yeah, we've done that, and that's cool. That's a really cool thing to do. It's still doing it. Not for next week. That's
So it was fun.
yeah. No, that's one thing we don't use that word. No resolution. I mean, it's very cool.
I'm still putting away.
Getting rid of fear and what you gonna do to do that? Oh yeah, no, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
that one's yours?
I'm telling you, yeah, that I thought of that too. That's what I'm looking at. Right.
So now when I
It actually really worked. Yeah. And either one or two things happen. They will begin to be nice to you. You will drive it. There's just like there was a proverb in the book of Proverbs.
but they think with therapy that it's
Oh no, really? Oh my God, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. That's things are gonna happen because you're not feeding them what they need. They're feeding like your anger or your depression or your anxiety.
It was good. But anyway, it was good. I don't have to worry about it. You know, I'm not gonna be. But I don't know how to go on there. Well, I don't know. There's something in the government like that. Oh, it will help me go after my call. Oh yeah? But I live in Tennessee. I don't wish I lived Huh? They had them. I'm gonna announce it. I'm sorry, I didn't ruin stuff in your face. I gotta say hello. Yeah, put that title in because it's public domain now. Right, I found the whole book. He had them back there one time. You know, but if people want to get a hard copy, I know Amazon has it and Unity Bookstore has it.
Yeah, I like hard copies.
I do too.
Well, typically,
Where's the game?
I'll leave it off though.
So I don't know, I've done this a lot over here. How are you, first of all?
The John Peterson. You know,
Red. You ready, love? Love, princess. You better give me some more sheets now. Hey everybody out there in Facebook land or Streamland or whatever you call that. My name is Steve Rivera and I'm, I guess the board president here for like a couple of more weeks. And Jack is not, we need some music. We're having okay, we're gonna wing it up here. We have Love, we have Princess, and we have Crystal, and I'm Steve. Jack is not here today, and we have a wonderful guest speaker, but we're not gonna name who that is yet. So we wanna sing, we wanna stand up and sing. Are we ready? Okay. Stand up, everybody. Celebrate.
Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, the next time that we make a land. Tell all the folks in Russia and China too. Don't you know that it's time to get on board? And let this train keep on riding, riding on through. People all over the world, join hands, start a love train, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train, all of your brothers over in Africa. Tell all the folks in Egypt it's business too. Please don't miss this train at the station. 'Cause if you miss it, I feel sorry for you. All over the world, join hands, start a love train, people all over the world, join hands, start a love train, ah, let it ride, let it ride, let it ride. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world. Join hands, start a love train, people all over the world.
All right, so let's see.
Everybody, wait, take a moment and
Hey, man. What's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Hey, man.
Okay, everybody, grab that last hug or two. All right, we're gonna get started. Do we have anybody that is here for the first time today? A couple of new people. We're not gonna embarrass you. If you just raise your hand and let us know. Hi. You're if you'd like, we have a packet we're going to come around and give you. This is our information packet. It'll have some information here, tell you about Unity, what we do here, and what we do around the world. If you're new to Unity, it's some really good information in here. And on the back, you should have a little a card for you to fill out your information on. If you want to fill that out, you can drop it in the offering box or just give it to us on the way out, just with your name and your email address. We have a great newsletter we send out each week that'll tell you everything that's going on here and any good events or anything that's going on. Just tell us what you think about the service. If it's something that you're interested in, or any improvements you think we could make, we'd love to hear it. And we're going to invite our little ones up today and give them a blessing. We just had the two, Abby and Nicole. Come on. Any other kids today? There's one there.
And they're staying in here.
Okay, and we have a really great youth program here. While we do our lesson here, you can come on up here. They also have a lesson that they do in the children's room, in the classroom in the back, where they get to learn these same principles, but in much more fun, interesting ways. So if you know anybody that has children that you think would be interested in coming, please bring them. All ages, doesn't matter. We'd love to have them. So we're going to send these kids out of blessing today. They're going to stay up front with us today because we have that special ceremony for them, for everybody. But as we send this out to them, we also like to send it out to all the kids everywhere around the world that maybe couldn't be in a place like this today. So you say with me, children of light, we bless you. We seek love, guided and protected by God's presence. In New Orleans style, we love you hard. We swear to God. Okay, Steve. We'll have Steve come up down.
Okay, hey everybody. Happy Sunday, everyone. It is time for the daily word. So I'm going to share that with you. Could you please take this opportunity, Krista just reminded me, to silence your cell phones, please. I do mine on the way in, just to make sure. Anyway, today's daily word for Sunday, December 30th, 2018, is power. I am a spiritual being bestowed with great power. In this moment, I affirm there is only one power and presence active in my life, God the good. That power flows from the one source that pours into all things. As an expression of God, I claim my spiritual superpower. My power resides in my ability to choose. In all situations, I choose to be victorious. No thought, situation, or circumstance can hold me back. I am stronger than any doubt from within or any judgment from without. I have the power to conquer any self-limiting thoughts that might otherwise hold me back. I align my thoughts with my highest good, envisioning health, abundance, love, and success. I affirm, I am love, I am peace, I am pure strength. I am a spiritual being bestowed with great power. Today's daily word is taken from scripture out of Luke 9:2. He sent them out to proclaim the kingdom of God and to heal.
We'd like to take a moment to honor the diversity of all people and all religions, recognizing that spirit is in all and all are divine. At this time, we symbolically honor the sacredness of all spiritual paths, realizing that there are many common threads throughout many religions and many life paths. Let us open our hearts and minds to accept the uniqueness of all. Native American practice is the path of honoring the earth and all beings. Shintoism is the path sensitive to nature's forces, spiritual forces, honoring the sacred spirits of ancestry. Hinduism is the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. Sufism is the path of daily communion with God. Christianity is the path of love and forgiveness. Taoism is the path of meditation and contemplation, focusing on the inner harmonies of the universe. Confucianism is the path of deliberate tradition. Islam is the path of submission to the will of God. Baha'i is the path of unity and peace. Judaism is the path of living by sacred law. Buddhism is the path of compassion, detachment, and mindfulness. Paganism and Wicca both see the sacred in nature as well as the individual soul, and seek understanding of the evolution and mystery of the universe. Unity is the path of empowerment and change through our conscious co-creation with Spirit. We light our Christ candle as a symbol of the Christ consciousness that illuminates and joins us all.
Good morning. Don't close your eyes. Switching things up a little bit. You'll hopefully see why in a little while. I'm going to do the message, the talk first. I'm going to begin by saying Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Or should I say Happy 5th day of Christmas. Today is the 5 Golden Rings Day. You ever wondered that song, what the 12 days of Christmas are? The first day of Christmas in that song, in the old tradition, is actually December 26th. Christmas Day was considered a very holy day. Christ Mass. People went to church. They prayed. They didn't party on that day. The parties began the next day. Gift giving began the next day. In some countries like Canada, it's still known as Boxing Day for that reason. And if you count out the 12 days of Christmas, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, January 6th, Epiphany. And for you Mardi Gras experts, what's another name for Epiphany?
12th night.
12th night. That's why it's called 12th night. It's the 12th and final night of Christmas, and thus after that we begin the carnival season. An old friend of mine used to say that most other places have 4 seasons, New Orleans only has 3. Christmas season, carnival season, and summer. But in our country, in our tradition, all that has shifted. Christmas now, well, we used to say Halloween. I started seeing Christmas stuff in August. You know, and I knew we really were in trouble when a couple of years ago this company started advertising, don't begin shopping on Black Friday, begin on Black Thursday. And I went, Black Thursday, isn't that Thanksgiving? Idea of Santa Claus and everything was really developed by the retailers. And everybody begins that Christmas shopping so early that by the time we get to Christmas, people are tired of it. You know, we went to Penny's just a couple of days ago and they've already decorated for Mardi Gras. They don't even wait for 12th night anymore. You know, I remember years ago I was going home from my parents' Christmas Day, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and as I drove home there was already 3 or 4 Christmas trees thrown out in the street. I turned on 101.5, listened to Christmas music. They stopped it at noon on Christmas Day. But in the old tradition, we're in the Christmas season. And it's a very important time because the time we're in right now is that time between Christmas Day and New Year's. I remember as a kid thinking how empty that time was. You know, we had all the big celebrations for Christmas, and then we had to wait this whole week because we were off of school at the time. Had to wait this whole week for the big celebrations for New Year's. And as I began to reflect on that, because actually I was fortunate this year, I had enough leave time, I was able to take the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off this week, so I would have been off the whole time between Christmas and New Year's to reflect on this. I realize it's a thing called in-between time. In-between time is an old concept from many traditions. The Celts had in-between times. Some Native American tribes had what they called in-between times. In the Celtic tradition, one of these times was usually around Samhain, another was around Yule this time of year. It was also a way they kept their calendar straight. They didn't have leap year. They didn't understand quite that yet. They knew that if all their months were equal and they didn't do something once in a while, all of a sudden the winter months were in the summer. So they would take these days off the calendar. They weren't even on the calendar. They're days that didn't exist. The in-between time. Nobody worked. In some cultures, all laws and rules were forgotten for a few days. But what was important about these times was they were a time for reflection. A time to say, okay, where have I come from? What's going on before this time? What are the things I might need to change? You get a theme here where resolutions may have come from? And then once we leave this in-between time, what must I do to carry that through? So I really believe it's important that in our spiritual practices, we take these times sometimes. It doesn't have to be this time of year, because in a little while we're going to be doing something because this is a perfect time to do that. But that's what retreats are all about. People go on a retreat to reflect, to drop everything from their normal life, to get away, to reflect, to look, where have I come from? Where do I want to go? Some people use vacations for this. You know, they take that break and they don't all do all the sudden tourist stuff and run around like chickens with their head cut off, so they got to see everything within 2 hours. They take those breaks, they take that time in order to reflect, to look at and say, okay, what's going on? And that's why I like this time of year, this time between Christmas Day and New Year's. Oh, by the way, Brenda and I's Christmas decorations don't ever come down before January 6th. That's when they're supposed to come down. Years ago when I rented an apartment, it was like January 3rd, and the manager of the apartment complex sent me a letter saying Christmas is over. I went to her office and said, no, it won't. No, it isn't. And I explained the 12 days, and I was allowed to keep my Christmas decorations up until the 6th. But to take this time to reflect. And what I'd like everybody to reflect on today is something we talk about a lot here. We talk about that there's only two choices, fear and love. We know a lot of the spiritual leaders and all have talked about this. You know, we see it in Course in Miracles. We see it, I mean, all over. In fact, the furthest I've been able to trace it back is Aristotle. So we're talking ancient Greece, where Aristotle said, basically, there's only two ways to live. Either we live in fear, or we live in love. So this idea has been part of our collective unconsciousness for eons. And we always talk about it. But I'm here today to challenge everyone that now in this in-between time is the time to actually do something about it. If you already have, great, it's time to solidify that and maybe reflect on what's the next step. If you haven't, this love and fear is not just a concept. It's a way of life. You know, a phrase I've used here, a lot of times we talk about these theories and all at Unity, but sometimes we have to say, it's time for the rubber to hit the road. It's time to say, okay, if I'm here saying I want to live a life of love, the first thing I need to do is work on getting rid of fear. And then replacing that fear with love. Sounds simple, but I think we all know it's not simple. Because there just seems to be so much to be afraid of. And not to get on one side or the other, I've learned not to do that. But right now, the different political sides and economic sides and racial sides and all those different sides that people are setting up, they're trying to scare each other. If we do this, this awful thing's going to happen. And the other side says, no, but if we do this, this awful thing's going to happen. This idea of fear is so prevalent these days. We see it on the news, we see it in the newspaper, as we talk about things with our friends. And I'm here today to challenge everyone to let go of that. We can't do anything about it. You know, let's face it, there are certain groups that have all the money, all the power, they control all the people in Congress. You know, we look at the polls, how many of us are so dissatisfied and mistrustful of our elected officials and all this negativity. And reality goes, well, my one vote can't do that much. I still vote, I still try to say, okay, I want this guy because he or she most represents my values. That's how I decide to vote. But we're not going to change it. There's nothing we can do to get things going where everything's being done for the benefit of everybody. All we can do is in our own life, in our own self. We are not going to get rid of fear in the world. But if we get rid of fear in ourselves, in our own life, then that brings a little more love. If we share that love with our family and friends instead of fear, then that love begins to grow in us and those around us. The reminder today, as Christy Snow said last time she talked here a couple weeks ago, that when we go anywhere, all we have to do is be there and bring love. As simple as that. Respond to everything with love, with compassion. I just summed up the major teachings of the Buddha and the Christ. That one statement. Bring love. Love conquers fear. I quote, this is one of my favorite quotes of St. Francis of Assisi. Doesn't care how dark and fearful the world becomes. As long as there's just one lit candle, darkness can't win. And our love is that lit candle. As long as we do our best to hold fear at bay in our life and embrace a life of love, that candle will continue to burn. And that candle will light another candle, and that candle will light another candle. That's why people do candle vigils. Especially in times of depression and mourning. The candles, as they're lighting and light up, that light conquers the darkness. That love conquers the fear. And that's the only choice we have. No matter what goes on in the world, no matter how bad it gets or how fearful it gets, if we hold on to love in our life, that is all that matters. And that's something each of us can only do for ourselves. Nobody can do that for us. Nobody can tell each of us. I can't tell anybody here, this is what you must do to get rid of fear in your life and embrace love. Only you can do that for yourself. That's one of the reasons Jack and I have talked about this a number of times, that we think unity isn't one of those religions that's exploding and spreading, even though our concepts so many people believe, is this. Most people unfortunately need or want to be told, if you do A, B, and C, you'll achieve this goal. Here at Unity, we say, no, you got to find your own path. And we've seen people, they come here, they go, what? Ray, I can find my own path. Then it hits them. Oh, what do you mean I got to find my own path? That takes work. That takes effort. That takes reading, looking at inspirational videos, going to classes, holding discussions with my friends. I got to work at this. Can't you just give me a little cheat sheet? No, because nobody can write a cheat sheet for anybody else. You have to do that yourself. Because nobody knows you like you do. I know it sounds like that's common sense, but I think sometimes we don't really believe that. We rely on other people to tell us, this is what you need to do, this is what's good for you, this is what's better for you. Because too often we don't trust ourselves. That's fear. Not trusting yourself because you're afraid you might make a mistake. That's where the fear comes in. Replace that with, I'm going to trust myself. I know what's best for myself. My own subconscious knows what's best for me. We can use all these Jungian and Freudian ideas and bring that in and say, my true self knows what's best for me. Or if we say, my God knows what's best for me, my eternal God, my divine, my Christ presence, my Buddha presence, my Allah presence knows what's best for me. And the first step is to trust that. And then to look at your life and say, what are the things, or right now, what is the main thing where fear is rooted in my life? What is that? Is that a feeling? Is that a person? For each person is going to be different. And that's what we're going to do today. You know, when Jack knew we'd be out of town, asked me to do the talk today, then realizing that the day after today is New Year's Eve, excuse me a second. And traditionally, we've done a burning bowl on New Year's Eve. We just thought it might just be a little too much to do two things, you know, one day after the other. So he asked me to incorporate that into today's talk. I said, you know, as you hear me say, when it comes to themes and talks, I'm always for January 6th. So what I'm asking everyone to do is, in thought, in reflection, in meditation, you don't have to. One of your piece of paper is going to be fear. If you want to write fear on there, it's fine. The other piece of paper, obviously, is going to be love. What I want you to reflect on, in this little in-between time that we're creating here, is what is, and I'm a believer, you know, because Jack said, what about the page with the 10 lines on it? I don't know about you, but I can't do 10 things at the same time. So I guess what I'm asking today, excuse me, is to reflect on maybe the one big thing that creates or brings fear into your life. The main thing, and it could be have multiple parts, but that's up to you too. The main thing in your life right now that is the root of fear. That's what we're going to work on letting go of. That's what we're going to end up burning. In a little different way, because the last few years have not been safe. For those who have been here, we've had smoke-filled church, the container, we're burning it in, catching fire itself.
A literal burning bowl.
A literal burning where the bowl itself was burning. So I'll explain when that comes. And once you reflected on that a little bit, and again, this is going to be a little music playing. I'm not going to be talking. This is not a guided meditation because I want you to guide yourself. Then on this other piece of paper, write, what must I work on to bring into my life? To bring that love more into my life. It could be an action, it could be a feeling, it could be whatever. So the two things to reflect on is, what must I work on letting go of in my life? So that the fear goes with it. And then, what must I do, or can do, or am willing to do to bring more love into my life? And we have a few minutes to do this. Take your time. And when you finish, just continue to reflect. And after a while, when I can look and see nobody's writing anything, then we'll go to the next step. I like the spontaneous humming. What we're going to do now is put your love paper aside. We're not going to do anything with that one right now. Take the one that you wrote your fear on, or whatever brings you fear. And I want you, don't fold it. Learned a long time ago, folding doesn't burn well. Crumple it up into a ball. And as you crumple it up into a ball, put that negative energy into that ball. This is your fear you're letting go of. And then when you're ready, come up and drop that paper ball, that fear, into the cauldron. Brenda's going to take it now outside. If everyone's go to the window and watch, you can, or you just want to imagine it. She's going to go light it on fire. We're going to burn fear away. Burn it. Another way love is described is fire. Fire that brings passion. Fire that brings transformation. Anybody who does any kind of forging or smithing or working with metal knows that fire creates the transformation. So as this begins to burn, cheers it up a little bit. See that fear burning away. That whatever it is that brings fear into your life, visualize it burning away and going and being replaced by the transforming fire of love.
It's actually burning.
And that's a cast iron cauldron. It's not going to catch on fire. We used it the first year, but it was too small in the fire, so we figured this year if we did it this way, tells me there's a lot of fear being let go of right now. That's right. See a lot of black ash. It's all gonna burn, don't worry. And then the ashes will be dumped in a garden somewhere into the ground, which is another old tradition of taking that energy and grounding it back into the earth. Or like a seed, it can be transformed back into positive energy of love. Now, y'all still have that other piece of paper. Purposely didn't burn that one. For those who still like using the term, that's your New Year's resolution. That's your intention for the upcoming year. I'd like you to take that piece of paper home with you and put it someplace where you can see it, someplace special. If you have a personal altar at your house, put it on that altar. Hang it on your refrigerator. Tape it to your... Well, if you're two friends, you may want to tape the other person's on your forehead so they can see it. Tape it to your mirror. If your love thing is an affirmation, type that affirmation out. Say it every day. And work on bringing love into your life. We let go of the fear. Now, we know that all the fear is not gone, that we keep holding it and pulling it back, and it's like, oh, I can't really let it go. It's so much a part of me. I don't feel normal without it, and all these things. That's why people go to counseling. But to work on it, by working on your love intention, you then begin to push fear further and further away. So use today and tomorrow, which are the last 2 days of this in-between time, at least for New Year's, but for those who celebrate Christmas till the 6th. And by the way, until the Roman Church took over the Irish Christian Church, Ireland always celebrated Christmas on January 6th. And we know, I can't remember the year, we know what year the Roman Church took over, because that's the year that Ireland celebrated Christmas on December 25th. So this is a season, and it is a season of love. And if you read the nativity stories, one of the things that the shepherds shared all at first was fear. When they saw the lights, they saw the angels in the story, they were afraid. But that fear was then replaced by the love of that night. That's what we celebrate during this time of year. That's what we hope to do in our own lives for the upcoming year. Continue to let go of fear and continue to embrace love in our lives. Amen. Blessed be. Namaste.
Thanks so much, Paul. Really, really loved that talk. It was powerful. And I could see all of my fears burning up out there. And I'm really grateful that Brenda is so diligent in making sure that it's all... Look at her mashing up the ashes and everything. Boy, she's burning that fear. Anyway, now's the time, the time right now is the time that we are able to give back. It's time for the offering. And so, we would love your support. We need your support and your loving kindness and generosity to continue meeting weekly and with our Facebook streaming. The energy in here is magnificent, and I urge anyone who is out there in Streamland to try it once. Come in, and give us a call. We'll tell you how to get here. But anyway, there is a donate button on the screen of the streaming, and so if you just go down and click on that, you can also give your love and show your love and appreciation and of spirit. So thank you all for being here. This is really, really, really phenomenal. And the way that we do it, we walk up here, and there's amongst this manger scene. Thank goodness we didn't take this down.
Yes.
And there's a treasure chest, and that's where you can put all of your riches and support and love offering. So thank you very much. Bill is also in the Welcome Center with the, if you would like to give electronically, right? Swipe, chip, whatever. And if you don't feel like getting up, we'll come around to you. So, oh, Carla. Carla is going to come around to you. So anyway, thank you all. So please join me in singing the song that we're going to sing for you. Yeah, that's it. Fun time. We're going to sing a song. Come on, girls. Y'all come over here. Yeah, grab a mic. Grateful, grateful, I am grateful for all that I am. All that I am grateful, I am grateful. Thank you, love. There's love right there. Love all around us. Okay, so it's, I think, time for the announcements, and that is Crystal's job. So I'm going to hand it back to Crystal.
We just have a few announcements for the things that are coming up soon. Once again, I want to say thank you to any of the new people, any visitors we had today. It's good to have you here, especially today. A great ceremony. But our spiritual director, Jack Fowler, is not here, so you missed an awesome speaker. So please come back. Love you to hear him as well. And once again, if you didn't get the packet earlier in the service, just let us know. We'll get you one, or you can grab one on the way out. Secondly, we have our Wednesday night faith lift every week. It'll be back on track Wednesday. I believe that they had it this past Wednesday as well, but we have a meditation at 6 p.m. For 1 hour. You'll have a really wonderful guided meditation with Jack. And then immediately following that, they have a Course in Miracles study group. If you want to come and learn a little bit about that, please welcome to come and do that. Also, we're still collecting food for this Second Harvest Food Bank. For the month of January, it says soup and crackers. So just grab an extra can of soup or crackers next time at the grocery store and drop it off, and we'll bring it over to the Second Harvest Food Bank. Also, if you would like to have a copy of the Daily Word that you heard earlier today, we have the new ones here for January and February for $5. You can pick up one of those in our Welcome Center out front. On the 13th, that's not next Sunday, it's the one after, 2 weeks from today. We are going to have our annual town hall meeting. We do the quarterly town hall meetings. This is our annual meeting where we're actually going to talk about new board members. We do need new board members. Poor Steve He's leaving us. He'll be, he's been on the board for a while now, so I think we're going to need a couple more. We also are looking for someone, a treasurer. We could use a few more for various positions. We really need your help, so let us know. Did you want to say anything about that, or no?
No, it's
Okay,
just
good.
like if you would like to support your church, it's really it's a great thing. I enjoyed it.
Yes, it's great. Especially if you have any really great new ideas, we'd love to hear from you. So please
Everybody's
come to
got
the,
ideas.
Yes.
Everyone has ideas.
So come for even if you don't want to be a board member, if you just come to the town hall meeting and share your insights, that would be fantastic.
It'll be birthday Sunday that day.
Oh,
too.
and it's birthday Sunday. So I know we got one birthday. My little one's got a birthday coming up in January, so she'll be here for sure. Also, Paul, where'd you go? You want to tell us what's going on Tuesday night, Paul and Brenda? They're going to have a talk on Tuesday night on the Lessons in Truth. It's a book study. Lessons in Truth.
This isn't true.
Do you want to say something about
Yeah. Lessons in Truth is a classic Unity book. In fact, it's so classic it's in public domain. So if you don't have a copy of it, just look it up online. And I found at least one website that the whole book is there, so you could read it on your computer or your tablet. We're going to start discussing it that second Tuesday of January, since the 1st. We're not going to be here January 1st. And we're going to just do the book discussion, talk about the truth in that book, which very, very, very much tie into everything we do here at Unity, what we talked about today, what Course in Miracles talks about. I mean, all that is within this very, very classic book. And the author is
Emily Katie.
Emily Cady. And you can look that up online, or if you want to get a hard copy, I know Amazon has it. If you do Amazon, do Amazon. Smiles.amazon. And then Unity gets some money from that. Also, you can go to the Unity website and order it from them too. So, or you can look it up online. And then we'll start that on the 8th.
I like hard copy books. I mean, I'm old fashioned. I need to hold it in my hand. I love it. The digital stuff, not so much. Okay. Also, we're gonna have lunch bunch today.
Yes, we're having lunch at Don Seafood on Veterans Highway.
Don Seafood on Veterans
I
Highway.
have a table reserved and it's a round table, so.
A round table is reserved, and that's at 1 or 12.
At 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock.
I'll
Okay,
be
so
there for the
immediately after we let out here, if you want to go hang out and eat some yummy seafood, that's a good place to go. Also, if you want to get a copy of today's service, we have those available. Everett's already got those ready to go. They're $5. You can pick them up and get on your way out. I think that's about it for today. I'll just have everybody stand, and we are going to leave today with our song "All Is Well." Girls, you want to come help us out?
good. I am truly blessed. I am well and life is good. I am truly blessed. All is well and life is good. I am truly blessed. All is well and life is good. I am truly blessed. I let light shine so that everyone can see. I let love divine daily flow through me. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. All is well, and life is good, and I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. I am truly blessed. Woo! All right.
We'll do a prayer for protection.
Oh, prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Thank you.
All right, happy Sunday. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Hey, boy. I'll just say your name
How do we do, Todd?
For some reason we lost. Said we don't have internet connection. For some reason,
out at one moment?
yeah, it totally crapped out. We've been running the last few weeks. It's acting like the signal's not good enough, so I don't know if it's too far away. So I need to figure out what's going on.
Well, I thought Jack said that there was a new internet connection.
It was. It seemed good. I rebooted. Sometimes you have to reboot the wireless router. Sometimes you have to, just for some reason.
Well, it's been working fine.
Oh, yeah.